You are watching the Neuro-Affirming Conversation Hour for outreach and support. The Humanities 101 Foundation welcomes you.
Hello, Nacho Knots, and welcome back to Nachos, the Neuro-Affirming Conversation Hour for outreach and support. I am so glad that you are here today. And I want to begin today with a little quote that is often attributed to Mark Twain, and it's one of my favorites. I have never let schooling interfere with my education. So let that sink in again. I've never let my schooling interfere with my education. Now, if you sit with that, it's kind of interesting because here we are, the end of a semester, a season defined by schooling, deadlines, assignments, schedules, expectations, and performance. And yet, education is something else entirely. Education is what stays with you. Education is what changes you. Education is what reshapes how you understand yourself and the world around you. And today, as we come to the end of a semester and the end of a season, I want to talk about that space between schooling and education. I want to talk about endings. Real endings, messy endings, honest endings. And I want to talk about why this ending might actually be the beginning of something new. So wherever you are right now, I want to ground us for a moment, just a moment. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe you're relieved. Maybe you're proud. Maybe you're disappointed. Maybe you're numb. Or maybe you're still pushing through those last few things or feeling it all at once. And if that's you, I want to say this clearly. You made it here, and that matters. Because the end of a semester is not just a finish line. Especially for neurodivergent minds, it's a disruption in rhythm, a change in structure, a loss of predictability, a release of pressure, yes, but also a shift in identity. And even when we are ready for an end, transition is still transition. And transition always asks something from us. There's a kind of exhaustion that lives at the end of a semester or the end of a season. Not always dramatic, not always visible. Sometimes it looks like brain fog. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. Sometimes shutting down. Sometimes it looks like crying over something small because your system has reached capacity. Sometimes it looks like not being able to rest even when you finally can. And one of the hardest parts? Well, that may be that other people may assume you should feel only relief. But your system might be saying something entirely different. It might be asking, can I feel this? Now can I feel how much effort that took? Now can I feel how tired I really am? Now am I allowed to rest? If that's where you are, hear this now. Your exhaustion is not failure. Your need for recovery is not laziness. Your struggle to transition does not mean you did something wrong. It means you've been carrying something, and now your body is asking you to put it down. So let's bring in that PB&J for a moment. Predictability, balance, and joy. At the end of a semester, all three get shaken. Predictability shifts because your structure changes. Balance gets thrown off because you're depleted and still expected to make decisions about what comes next. And joy? Well, at times like this, joy can feel distant. Not because it's gone, but because you're too tired to access it. And that's why moments like these can feel strange. You're leaving one structure before the next one has fully arrived or formed or come into focus. And that in-between space, that's where we are uncomfortable. That's where we feel unease. And we feel like we're losing something. But those moments can also be powerful because the end of the semester is not just a finish line. It's a mirror. It's where we get to ask what actually happened to me this semester. Not just what did I complete, what did I turn in, what grades did I get, but what sustained me, what drained me. Where did I feel supported? Where did I feel like I was surviving instead of learning? What helped me grow? What made things harder than they needed to be simply for no other reason than they wanted them to be that way? Because sometimes that is education. And that kind of learning does not show up in a grade book. It shows up in awareness. It shows up in who you are. Some of you are ending this semester proudly. Some of you are ending it with disappointment. And some of you are just relieved to be done. And yet there are still others that are grieving some idea or some version of the semester that you'd hoped for. And all of those are real. You don't have to rewrite your experience to make it look successful. You don't have to call it your best semester ever for it to have mattered. Sometimes the most honest ending sounds like this. This was hard. I am tired. I learned some things. I struggled with some things. I grew in ways I did not expect. I did not do this perfectly, but I am still here. I am still here. And it's not the end of your story. That's the beginning of understanding. Before you rush into judgment, I want to offer you something different. Instead of evaluation, try observation. Instead of what is wrong with me, try what did I notice? I noticed that structure helped me. I noticed that unclear expectations make things harder. I noticed that rest mattered more than I gave it credit for. I noticed that shame didn't have to help me perform better or panic or anxiety. I noticed that when I felt supported, I could do more than I thought. And that's not weakness. That's data. And for us neurodivergent people especially, that kind of data changes everything. Because so often we've been taught to interpret struggles as deficit when it's actually just a mismatch. A mismatch is not a personal failure. It's information. Information about design, information about systems, information about what helps you thrive. And that's something you can carry forward because this is where that shift happens. The end of the semester or a season is not just an ending, it's a beginning. Not always a loud beginning. Sometimes it's just a realization. Something like, I cannot keep doing things like this. I need more predictability. I need more recovery time. I need clearer expectations. I need better boundaries. I need to hold those boundaries. I need systems that include my humanity. All of those things. That is a beginning. And maybe the biggest shift is this. And I hope each one of you take this away with you. You're more than your output. You are more than your output. At the end of a semester, identity can feel strange because for months you've known your role, your schedules, your expectations, and then suddenly, who am I? When all the urgency stops, when the plate stops spinning, when you have a chance to breathe. And that question can feel unsettling, scary even. but it can also be so very freeing. Because maybe you are more than deadlines. Maybe you are more than the grade. Maybe you are more than the pressure you were under. Maybe this is your chance to reconnect with yourself outside of performance. What restores you? What brings you back to yourself? What kind of life do you want to build that includes you, not just your productivity? And for some of you out there, there's grief here too. Grief for what this semester, this season, this life was. Grief for what it was not. Grief for people, routines, or moments that mattered. Even good endings can carry grief. You can be relieved and sad. You can be both proud and uncertain. You can be finished and still emotional. It's not confusion. It's not lack of clarity. It's being human. So today I want to offer you permission. Permission to end this season honestly. Permission to rest without earning it through perfection or performance. Permission to reflect without turning that reflection into self-criticism or self-loathing. Permission to carry forward what helped and leave behind what harmed. Permission to stop. Permission to pause. And before we close this chapter together, I want to share something important about what comes next for us as a community. Nachos is going to take a short, intentional pause. We're going to be on break until after Mother's Day, which is, my birthday weekend. And this is a time to reset, to reflect, and to prepare for what comes next, including the continuation of this work and the closing arc of season 14. Not season 14, season 4. It's episode 14 of season 4. So we'll be starting up with episode 15 when we come back after the 14th. And I want to name that this pause is not absence, it is designed. It's me trying to practice a little PB&J in action. Predictability and letting you know what to expect and what you can expect from me. Balance and allowing space for rest and renewal. Enjoy in making sure that that what we create in this space together continues to feel meaningful and sustainable. And that means sometimes stepping away, taking a breath, coming back with fresh eyes. During this time, I'll be doing a different kind of work. I'm going to be writing, speaking, continuing to build neuroaffirming spaces in classrooms, community, and organizations throughout the summer, not just the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to be out there doing the outreach that this work calls for. And if this space has meant anything to you, if it's meant something to you, if these conversations have supported you in some way, please stay connected. Follow along, share this work with others, or if you can, support through a donation if it's available. Every bit of support helps sustain this work and expand its reach. But most importantly, take this time for yourself as well. Let this be not just a pause for the podcast, but a pause for you. And I also want to make sure that you have clarity and support as we move into the next stretch. Even though we're taking this short break, and those of you who are students have a final project that's due on May 1st, I want you to know that you are not on your own with that. If you need support, I am here. I'm happy to meet with you on Google Meet. I'm happy to connect on campus, or I'm happy to communicate in whatever way helps you move forward. If you're stuck, reach out. If you're unsure where to begin, reach out. If you just need someone to talk through your idea, reach out. You don't have to figure out everything by yourself. Asking for help is proof of strength and intelligence. And yeah, you don't have to figure it out by yourself. This is part of the work too. Not just completing the project, but learning how to ask for support, how to build clarity, and how to take the next step when things feel uncertain. That is the human work. We're still in this together. And we'll get you across that finish line in a way that honors both the work and you. So as we close this episode and the semester, I want to return to something simple. Not someone, but something, because I'm returning to the same author, Mark Twain, but a different quote. Because in this quote, Twain reminds us to, quote, begin at the beginning, go until the end, then stop. So think about that. Begin at the beginning, go into the end, and then stop. That's his advice. But it's beautiful because you began, you went on, and now you get to stop. Not because you failed, not because you gave up, not because you did something wrong, but because this chapter has reached its natural close. And stopping matters. Stopping is where recovery lives. It's where reflection begins. Stopping is where new space is created. So before we go, a few affirmations to carry with you. You are allowed to be proud of what you have finished. You're allowed to be gentle with what you did not. You're allowed to rest without justification. You're allowed to recover without guilt. You're allowed to carry forward what worked, and you're allowed to release what did not. You're allowed to grow at your own pace. You're allowed to begin again without shame. You're not behind. You are in process. You are not broken. You are responding. You're not too much. You're navigating systems that were not always built with you in mind. And you are still here. And that matters. Nacho Knots, I want to thank you for this season, this semester. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for reflecting. Thank you for trying, for being honest, for building something truly human together. This is not just the end of a semester. It's a threshold. And whatever comes next, remember, you do not enter it empty. You carry insight. You carry experience. You carry resilience. You carry yourself. And let's be honest, that is enough. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and when you're ready, begin again. Start becoming. And as you step into whatever comes next, I want you to carry this with you. You are never just completing assignments. You are building understanding. You are practicing being human in real time. And that kind of work does not disappear when a semester ends. It stays with you. It grows with you. It becomes part of how and who you are and how you move through the world. So let this ending be real. Close the laptop, turn off the phone, exhale, let your shoulders drop. You don't have to hold everything all together right now. There'll be time for what comes next when it comes. For now, honor what was. Honor the effort. Honor the learning. Honor the moments, even the hard ones, that shaped you. And if no one has said it to you yet or ever, I'm proud of you. Not for being perfect, not for doing everything right, but for showing up, for continuing, for being you, for staying in the process even when it was difficult. That matters. You matter. And this space will be here when you return. Until then, rest, recover, reconnect with yourself, and trust that when the time comes, you'll know how to begin again.
Thank you for joining us. See you next week. The views and opinions expressed in this video are solely those of the creator and do not reflect the views of any institution, employer, or affiliated organization.